Right, on the Arsecast Extra ahead of the FA Cup final, it is our great pleasure to welcome to the show the one and only Ian Wright. Ian, how are you?
I'm very good, Andrew. How you doing, Jimbo?
Very good, thanks, Ian. Good to chat to you.
Nice one, James. Good to hear you too.
How are you feeling? We've been discussing our levels of anxiety versus excitement, and mine is fluctuating between 99% anxiety and about 0.1% excitement. I'm sort of worried, but delighted for the occasion. How's it going with you?
I feel the same, simply because I don't think that beating Liverpool and Man City has helped, because like my anxiety is through the roof. But then again, at the same time, I know we're capable of, if they come at us, we are more than capable of beating them. But at the same time, I know that through our midfield and lack of creativity, if they get on top of that midfield and Giroud starts bullying people about if he's playing, that just worries me. It's going to have to be one of those games where we really are very resolute at the back and we're just very clinical up the top.
Yeah. Do you think, Ian, we can play in the same way we did against City and Liverpool? Or do you think Arsenal needs to be a bit more proactive, take the game to Chelsea a bit more?
No, James, I don't think we should try and take it to them like that. I think that'd be suicide from us, simply because we don't create. When you look at our midfield, for us to start to try and go at Chelsea with footballing acumen like Ceballos, yes, maybe might be able to create something, but we haven't got enough to sustain the pressure that's going to put that back four, which is a weak back four of Chelsea's, whoever they put out, under pressure. I think that we should just, for me, soak it up and just beat them on the break, or play out the back like our first goal against City. When we played all the way from the back with Emi Martinez and all the way through, just take our time like that. That's what I want us to do. I don't think we're in a rush.
Do you feel like that might be inviting a bit too much pressure in terms of how we might exploit the Chelsea weaknesses at the back? If we begin in that way, or if our game plan is to sit deep, does it invite too much pressure, or is the strength in our counter-attacking basically our main strength?
Andrew, I think our main strength at the moment, when you look at it, is the counter-attacking. I'm hoping that if we do defend as a team, which Mikel has sorted out fantastically well, we're very organised, everybody knows what they're doing, but it's still going to have to be a resolute defensive performance. But obviously there's a massive chance we're taking in calling them on, and inviting on the pressure. But they will be wary of what we're capable of doing offensively, Andrew. So we can't have it both ways, because we know that defensively we can give up a couple of mistakes, or we might creep. But against Liverpool and City, we were fantastic. So you're hoping that that's the performance. And what I saw in that performance was, when the opportune moment arose, we took advantage of it and we were clinical.
And do you think, who do you think the key men are going to be for Arsenal? If they need to be clinical on the break, it's Aubameyang, isn't it?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think Xhaka coming. I'm delighted that Xhaka was. How I used to feel about Xhaka, Andrew. Man's he's risen like a phoenix in my world. He's now somebody that I'm desperate to know that he's in the team. Ceballos has been fantastic, and when you hear Mikel talking about before the trip to Qatar, I think it was Dubai where he went.
Dubai, yeah.
There was a little bit of kind of like they were questioning his application. And, he wasn't really sure about how he's going to go. He's worked on that. He's got himself in the team. He's now a focal part of what we're doing in respect to creativity. And, I think that he's somebody that, for me, he has to play. And, when you look at people who are not buying into Mikel Arteta's plan and how it's worked out for Dani Ceballos, it's a real bloody shame. It's a real shame.
Can I, just on him, I think his future at Real Madrid is up in the air because of his relationship with Zidane, and he might sense an opportunity at Arsenal, to do something, whether it's to come back, and hopefully, he will come back on loan or maybe permanently next season. I think he's earned that with the way that he's played. But how difficult is that from the player's point of view as a lone player, knowing that this is a club you may be playing your final game for? How difficult is it, or is it difficult to maintain that level of motivation and commitment, and putting yourself in I won't say physical harm or anything like that, but you need to play with a physical element to your game. You know, you could pick up an injury. It might scupper your chances of whatever happens next season. You know, what's that like from the player's mindset?
From a player's mindset, look, in going into that game, remember, even though he's on loan from Real Madrid, he's still playing in a final. It's still a showpiece. He's still, you know, he's still got a lot of people to impress. Obviously, I'd like us to keep him, but it's not. You don't go into that game as a player thinking about injury in that, Andrew. You wouldn't go in thinking about, if I put myself about, I might get injured, and then what happens to me? Because that is one of the outcomes that could happen, but it's the furthest from your mind, because right now all you're thinking about is playing in a final for a club that you hopefully can sign for and playing the very, very best you can. So all that negative stuff, what you think about, would only probably come into his mind if he got clattered and something happened. Then all of a sudden you start thinking about, gosh, why didn't I think of this before? This is what could happen. But the mere fact that he's going into a final, it's a prestige final for a club that he wants to sign for, by all accounts. You're probably going in there feeling very buoyed by the situation, with another opportunity to show them that in a big game, I could come up with the goods.
Ian, what do you make of the choices Mikel's got to make in terms of the attacking options? Obviously, there's Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang, but then you've got Eddie, who's been in pretty good form before his suspension, Bukayo Saka, who's another option. How do you think he'll sort of set those up and use them over the course of the 90 minutes? I
think he'll probably go with experience, James. Because I think that you start a Saka, you start a Eddie, and this is just my opinion. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if he started Saka, because he seems like he could deal with anything. Same with Eddie. They probably look like they can deal with anything. But if you start a young player in a final like this and it's not going right, it's not quite going well, and they have to get substituted somewhere along the line, it could have a little bit of it could be some damage there. You know, with people and the way people may judge their character in respect of a big game. So I think that for me in this game, James, I'd probably start them on the bench, because even me as an older player, when I came off the bench for Palace all those years ago, I was so excited about coming off the bench, and I was an older player. You know what I mean? You feel like you haven't got anything to lose. You only got things to gain, because if you come on, you make a difference. People say, oh, he came on, he changed the game. You come on, you score a goal. People say, brilliant. You feel brilliant. Then you're kind of ready for the next big occasion. But I think that to start with this one, and depending how Chelsea start, because they could fly out the blocks and really try and blast us, like we've seen them do before, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to go with experience. They probably would go with Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang. I think you'll probably go with that. We'll have Xhaka in there maybe, you know what I mean, Ceballos. I don't know what's happened with Lucas Torreira with everything that's going on, but I feel like those guys there, what I've mentioned, would definitely be playing. And if they don't, and Mikel, obviously, tactically, he's far more astute than I am. He might have a plan up his sleeve. You know, I'd love it, Andrew, guys. I'd love it, guys, if he did go out there and for some reason we were attacking them and we were defensively solid. But I have to go off of what I saw from us against Liverpool and Manchester City. And for me, that was very encouraging. Soaking them up, playing out from the back against that first goal against Man City. I'm not hearing enough about it. We literally played it from Emmy was on the line, literally passing the ball out. Yeah. And, you know, that is what we're capable of. So those things excite me. But at the same time, I know that we are a team that maybe, without the pace of Mustafi, who's been unbelievable under Mikel, we could be a little bit suspect in some areas. But then we're talking about people coming from midfield, a Mason Mount, you know, even a Kovacic might join. I don't know. But, like, that's what I would worry about. But with no pace up there, apart from if Tammy Abraham comes on at some stage, then you've got another kind of problem.
Just the defense. I mean, do you feel like perhaps they're more comfortable on the ball than they are defending? I think if you'd asked people 8 weeks ago, if you would be that worried about Shkodran and Mustafi missing a cup final, people would probably not have said no. You know, that wouldn't have been an issue for them, but he's been probably our best defender. Rob Holding's been there and done that, of course. He did play the 2017 FA Cup final in similar, he was brilliant, similar kind of circumstances. Do you have concerns about, you know, his form and maybe playing alongside David Luiz, who can be hot and cold? He really needs to be hot, doesn't he?
I think, you know what? I think that it's one of those. And what I like about David Luiz and why I had to come out and try to back him was he made the mistakes, and he does make mistakes. We've known that he makes mistakes, but then he has the unbelievable game, the leader game, but leader by example. The fact that he came out straight away was a great example to the youngsters. That when you make a mistake and you feel it's a mistake that you are totally to blame for, then come out and apologise and go into the next game and play very well. But I think that what we have to look at with Oldham is like, remember Pierre Mertesacker, man? When he brought Pierre Mertesacker out of nowhere, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, you're bringing Per into this game. I was absolutely petrified, thinking, what's going to happen? His pace, they're going to rip into shreds. It was one of the great Arsenal defensive performances in a final that I think I've seen all the times I've been at Arsenal and watched them. He was magnificent. And you're hoping that through Per talking to Holding and everything, what can happen, because he came from literally nowhere, Per, and played that game. So Holding, who, yeah, he didn't have a great game in a couple of games I've seen, but it's a final, and we've seen that he's risen to those occasions before. He can play. You know, you look at Hector. I quite like Hector's form at the moment. Tierney, you know, I don't need to say anything about Tierney because for me, he is future captain material at Arsenal and leading by example on the pitch. So I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about anybody at the back with the ball. Obviously, the main concerns is under pressure defensive work, what they might have to do. And that is where even Chelsea are worried about that as well, because they've got players as well at the back who are very susceptible to mistakes. So you've got to put them under pressure when the time arises, Andrew.
And Ian, I mean, behind that defence, I know you've been really, really impressed with Emi Martinez, haven't you? Mm-hmm.
I've actually gone on record as saying, my God, you know, if I'm Bernd Leno, and it's such a tragedy the way he got injured at Brighton to lose his position. You know, it's such a shame, but that's how it goes for goalkeepers. And there's no, you know, what can you say to try and sweeten it for him? You can't. Yeah. So Emi's waited, and he's been at a club since he was 16. And you've never heard anything from him in respect of, I want my chance now. This is my chance. When am I going to get my chance? He comes in, plays well, he goes back out. Comes in, plays well, goes back out. When you watch him, you think, wow, he's pretty confident coming out for the ball. Pretty confident catch. Wow, great. He gets down very well for a big man. Whoa, his feet are very good. So then you think, oh, God, I'd love to see him in a sustained period. And come on, man, if you look at the way he's played, he's a number one goalkeeper playing as a number two goalkeeper. He come in, and I remember Owen Arguley said, there's goalkeepers that come in, guys, and you could see it. It's like Alex Meninga when I was at Arsenal. He could not do enough on the training ground for strikers if he wanted to shoot until 9 o'clock at night. He would stay out there. They come in with a confidence that make you feel they're number one goalkeepers, but they're number twos waiting for their chance. That is what he is. He is somebody now that is really pushing Bernd, and Bernd will probably know that. So what he's inadvertently done with this injury coming around is giving us two exceptional goalkeepers right now. And if we're going to talk about goalkeepers, we talk about their goalkeepers. That is another position for me with Chelsea that we've got to try and exploit. Their set pieces, whether it's Willy Caballero or Kepa, we have got to get those goalkeepers under pressure as soon as we can.
Talk to me a little bit about what it's like on the day of a final. You've played in FA Cup finals. I know every player is different and there aren't too many players like you anyway, but just in terms of the mindset that you have going into a game like this, you know, there are various characters throughout this Arsenal squad. Yeah. But, you know, as a collective thing, you know, what's it like on the day, particularly as you're waiting now until 5:30 in the afternoon for kickoff? It's not like it used to be 3 o'clock on a Saturday, sunny day at Wembley. You know, you don't have all day long to think about it, but you know, what's the mood like? What's the crack like in the dressing room or on the bus around, if you like?
How can I say it's very lightheadedness kind of vibe about it, Andrew. You know, there's a lightheaded, a hazy kind of like, oh my God, it's a tingly. What it was for me, a tingly kind of expectancy that you know at some stage you're going into a massive situation. And obviously there's no crowd there, so it's going to be different for the guys. But you feel it all the way through the day. Like the night before, you wake up and you've got butterflies. You've got butterflies from the time you wake up. I couldn't sleep the night before. And so then you wake up, and then it was very difficult for me. When I done it at Palace, I did not eat all day. didn't eat all day because I couldn't keep anything down. Everything was in my mouth and it mushed out because I couldn't actually swallow stuff properly. So I couldn't really eat properly. With this one, I ate a little bit, but like I didn't feel hungry. I didn't have an appetite. It was just all thinking about getting to Wembley, what it's going to be like when you get to Wembley. And then when you do get to Wembley, you're out of your natural routine where I'm going to go out and warm up in a minute. I'm going to do this because you've got to stick to protocols. You've got to go out at a certain time. You've got people coming into the dressing room at a certain time. Then you've got to go out before the band. You've got to come in before the band. So you've not got your same kind of preparation, but the euphoria of the whole situation and then the build up of the crowd and everything was going on. Like I say, they ain't going to have a crowd, but those things are the things that kind of get you going and get your energy going. And then, you know, you go out, and when you used to come out of that tunnel, Andrew, when I was a kid, all I used to want to do was have my studs on, clattering up that tunnel, because I used to think, my God, listen to those studs. And then you come out to that unbelievable cacophony of noise, then you go and everybody's got the cool kits on and it's the beautiful, beautiful sunny day like it always is. You do the lineup, and then the time when I snap into football was after the first couple of touches. Because remember the first on the Palace, I didn't start. It came on after 73 minutes. But with Sheffield Wednesday, first couple of touches, then all of a sudden I feel like it's just a normal game. It's normal. But leading in, you know, I had to keep going toilet because my stomach was loose. You know what I mean? It was one of those, honestly. It was so strange. But then, you know, once the game starts, you kind of get into it. And then going into it when you know that people are expecting you to score as well was like, you know, I felt a lot of pressure with Sheffield Wednesday, a lot of pressure. So to be able to come off of that and scored in that game, scored in the second game, and you know, because I had to come off because of my ankle in both games. My ankle just was finished after 70 minutes. And so to not have a hand in making sure that it was finished was so frustrating for me. But the pressure going in, knowing that the fans as well, you guys are thinking, well, if Wright gets the chance, he's going to score. And I'm thinking, fucking hope if I get a chance, I can score. Jesus Christ, I hope I can take the chance. But then you've got fans thinking, he'll score. If Wright gets the chance, he'll score. And to be fair, the first one on Sheffield Wednesday was the kind of chance you want as a striker. It comes over and instinctively, bam, I just headed it back across the goal. But in the replay, the one where it came, Tony headed it back, Alan Smith flicked it through. I had all of the half to bear down on Chris Woods. And I was thinking, I need him to do something, and he'd done it. He came, stopped, and then he came again, and that was the time I had to sort my feet and then just chip it over him. And then there's a beautiful moment, guys, where you lot don't know it's gone in because you don't see that it's gone over Chris Wood. So I know it's rolling into the goal, where it goes very quiet. It goes silent because everybody's like, yeah. And then you look over, and then I run, and then you just see all of Arsenal, because it was nighttime, jumping up. It's literally, it's a moment that you see that I could say it's one of the greatest moments of my life. That was great.
Do you think, sorry, James, I know you want to come in, but do you think the occasion of winning the cup, if Arsenal win the cup tomorrow, and fingers crossed we do you think it will be slightly diminished because of the fact the stadium is going to be empty apart from James and a few broadcasters and journalists?
No. The thing is, no, simply because we have to accept it for what it is. Of course, an FA Cup final without the fans, the football without the fans is not proper football. We're just finishing off right now. So we have to, it's not football. I don't know how I deal with it because I needed the fans. I needed the energy of the fans. But for me and what Arsenal are going through from the time Mikel's come in to now and what we've achieved as a team that when you looked at with Unai was looking like, what's happening here? What's going on with us? You know, we look better. We look more organized. And you just have to feel that with the right tools, we're probably going to get to a place where we're going to be a lot happier. He's calmed the whole of the Arsenal world down with his communication, you know, with the owners, everybody, the fans, everybody's positive right now. And so I think that we have to win this game simply because of where we are. We need to be in Europe. I'm hearing about contract talks on pause simply because they want to see what happens in this game. So there's a lot riding on the game. And you look at Chelsea, guys, and Chelsea have achieved their goal. They're in Champions League spot. They've qualified for Champions League. And this is kind of like just for Frank to put silverware on the table, and it will be a magnificent season for them. But for us, with everything what we've gone through, with Mikel coming in at Christmas, one of the most difficult times to deal with anything, let alone a new manager, and get to where we are in the Cup now, it will be unbelievable. And fans or no fans, I think Arsenal fans would have to take that and say, I would take that in these circumstances.
And do you think, Ian, there's a sense that Arsenal owe Chelsea one after last year, Baku? That's going to be a massive motivation, isn't it, for this group of players?
Listen, the thing as well, you have to look into our dressing room. There's not a lot of experience in winning, James. David Luiz is that guy. Everybody who's involved in Arsenal, you can only look back at Baku as that would never happen under Mikel. I'm just thinking that, you know, just have to get that out there. Under Unai, you looked at it and it was, for me, I think watching an Arsenal game, it was the closest I've come to apart from the Champions League in 2006, you know, where you just feel yourself welling up.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans sending me messages and that. It was the closest I came to actually like properly crying. I felt so humiliated and ashamed and fucking disappointed. And you have to use that, James. You have to use that, Andrew, as you have to embrace the fact that what happened to us, where we were then and where we are now. And if Chelsea go into that game thinking, taking us for granted in any way, thinking that that can happen, then that's good. From our point of view, that's a good thing. But Baku is something that we shouldn't shy away from. Embrace it and say, this is an opportunity to use that and make sure that with every ounce of everything we've got in us, we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. That's all you can ask from the boys.
All right. Well, look, let's hope that's what we get from them. Let's hope that we can celebrate extending our record of 13 FA Cups to 14. Number 14 with perhaps our number 14 scoring the winner would be apt, I think. We can deal with that. Ian, enjoy it. Hopefully we'll all enjoy it, and we'll catch up with you again soon. We really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure, guys. Nice to see you. Goodly afternoon, fellas.
Goodly afternoon.
Cheers, mate.